Hello, this is Scott, and this is a little video to compare the Walkera 4.3B and the new 4.3B brushless. For those of you who aren't familiar with this little heli, it's a small little palm-sized fixed pitch from Walkera. Right here you've got both the brushed and the brushless version. As you can see, the receiver, which is a 2.4 gigahertz, is identical between the two kits. Absolutely no difference. It is 2.4 gigahertz, but it's not compatible, either brushed or brushless, with the Spectrum series. So if you're looking to bind it with one of the Spectrums, it's not going to work. Go ahead, take a look at the two. The basic frame of both the brushed and the brushless. This is the brushless one here, and the brushed is identical. Canopy, blade length, all of those components on the two, really absolutely no difference. So putting them next to each other, you'll see you've got the same tail length, same blades. Visibly from the outside, you really don't see any difference in the tail motor. So go ahead and pull the canopies off. And here's really where you're going to see the difference. In the brushed model, you'll notice that you've got your single battery connector, your small onboard mix switches, both your gyro, your speed control, as well as the receiver servo controller, and the battery tray underneath. And in the newer brushless version, you'll see you've got a different receiver setup. This receiver setup has a speed controller that's separate, that's kind of glued on, taped on underneath, as well as the actual brushless motor. You'll see that the brushless motor is connected to what looks like a little Futaba JR style servo plug. That runs down to the speed controller. Speed controller has the hookup to the battery. There's an extra little hookup coming off the old receiver set that's just unused, that just comes tucked in there. The one thing that I've noticed during flight, is a little problem I'm still dealing with on the brushless, is it has a little more weight up front. The CG seems to be a little bit off, whereas the 4.3 brushed is perfectly balanced. It's a very, very easy helicopter for me to hover. If you've never flown before, it's certainly not as easy as a coax, but given its size, it's really stable. The brushless isn't as stable. You'll notice taking off, it's definitely heavier. You feel the extra weight. It's really noticeable as you lift off. It's very, very difficult to keep it steady without sliding a little bit to the side on takeoff in comparison to the brushed version. But it's also a little bit top heavy. So if you're hanging it, it's probably not real easy to tell in the video, but it does actually hang just a little bit forward by the fly bar, especially if you put it on something level. So that's what I've done, is fully trimmed it as far back in the swash as I can go, and even with that, it's still not level. So look at maybe adding some weight to the tail, or perhaps extending the tail boom a little bit to compensate for that. Overall flight characteristics, reasonably similar. Like I said, the brushed version is a little bit heavier, doesn't fly quite as well as the brushless version is a little bit heavier, doesn't fly quite as well as the brushed version. It is very strong still from a motor. You have no power problem at all. It's just the little bit of extra weight you feel. Not quite as nimble flying. Certainly still very, very good flying. Little heli. same bind procedure. You know, let's go ahead and put the canopy back on. And that's the 4.3B brushless. If you stick around, I'll have some comparisons of the 4.3 against some of my other popular helicopters, including an E-flite Blade CX2, one of the new Align T-Rex 250s, as well as an Align T-Rex 450. Couple fun comparisons to see them. Time to get back to flying.